Started off this morning with several Gupta-owned properties, as you heard in that report from Griselda Lewis, being raided as a part of a larger investigation by the Hawks interstate capture and alleged corruption. The controversial Gupta family has been implicated in allegations of corruption as well as fraud involving hundreds of millions of rands. For more on this, we joined in studio now by Wayne Duvenage from OUTA. Good to see you, Wayne. Welcome.
Yeah, nice to be here.
What a day. I mean, 14th of February, it's going to have a very different meaning from now on, isn't it? I mean, this morning, starting off with the raids on the Gupta house, did you know about them before, or did this come as much as a surprise to you?
Well, we've been expecting it for some time. We've been working behind the scenes. We've been laying charges throughout the last year, and I think the signals came earlier on in this year when there was the raid or the preservation orders down on the farm against Estina. Remember, then recently the Hawks had gone into the Ace Makashula's offices in the Free State to start gathering more information. So this is what momentum is all about. If you're going to be serious about corruption and tackling it head on, this type of energy that is unfolding right now is extremely good news for South Africa.
I mean, this is something that you guys have been fighting for a very, very long time against state capture, and we're seeing the house of cards beginning to crumble. 5 people being arrested. Are you privy to any information as to who may be behind bars tonight?
Not yet, but we'll know tomorrow. We have a team down in Bloemfontein at the courts, and we'll start finding out more then. But what we are seeing and what the country is witnessing here is the start of a rolling action that is going to see a lot more people in jail. And when we say a lot more, the seniority of the people, we're talking ministers now, Mosebenzi Zwane, I don't think is going to sleep well tonight because he is implicated in this project.
Yeah, and that's the reality. I mean, we're seeing the fall of a lot of people, and in government as well, and that's the reality. Now, I want to talk to you about. I mean, you've been following the Guptas for a very, very long time. Of course, being the centre of all the state capture allegations, the money that has allegedly left this country. I mean, you guys have spoken very much so of duffel bags full of money that allegedly left the country, and you know, to get that money back is obviously at the center of everything. I mean, is it possible after all these investigations?
Yes, we believe it's possible to get a lot of it back, and if that means working with the MI5, working with the FBI and foreign banks to seize assets and property overseas, it's going to take some time, but we believe that's the route that has to go. This is exactly why the banks stopped those accounts, because they could see the money flows weren't being approved properly, and that has brought the house of cards down on the Gupta-related businesses just alone. And now we see Bank of Baroda pulling out, and their accounts being nobody's going to touch their accounts. So it's the end of business for the Guptas as we know it in South Africa.
Yeah. Now we obviously, I mean, today this is how we woke up, and who knows how we are going to sleep tonight, because this has been a day where so much has happened. And of course we had the president who was speaking live here on the SABC, given an exclusive interview. Did you listen to it? What did you make of it?
Yes, he's trying to justify why he should remain in power, and he's very confused because in one breath he says, you know, I will honor and listen to the leadership and abide by their decision. Well, their decision is for you to leave, Mr. President, and then he's saying, but first tell me why, and then I will leave, I'll give some thought to it. He shouldn't even be asking that question, but if he needs the reasons why, well, that's where the ANC is compromised, because they've defended him up until now. But we can provide him with the reasons. The reasons are very clear. I mean, the Constitutional Court has made it clear that he has broken his oath of office. He has benefited from Nkandla. He is implicated in many cabinet shuffles that have no rationality but were put in place for ulterior motives, and that is to enrich the Guptas and other connected cronies, including his family members. There is a lot that he's done wrong, and one wonders, why is he trying to cling to power when there is a new center of power? I mean, if Jacob Zuma had the decisions on the removing of the whole board at Eskom just a few weeks ago, he's not behind that. There's a new center of power, and he has to now realize that. He is a lame duck president, and you cannot have a lame duck president sitting here for another year. So just listen to your leaders and move.
Yeah, I mean, OUTA put out a statement as soon as the president was speaking, not a statement, but a tweet, and I'll read it. It says, "Here's what you did wrong, Mr. President. You allowed the looting of taxes to benefit you and a selected few, while the poor are getting poorer daily. You protected known thieves and gave the country to a foreign family. And you thought we are all stupid. We are not."
Yeah.
I mean, is this fair? Because when you look at the president, and he genuinely sits there, and he sat there in this interview, almost in total amazement. I don't know what I've done wrong. He said this so many times. He is always pleading his innocence. He's always playing the victim. He is. I mean, that's a card that he's always played. But I mean, is there any rationale behind this? I mean, do you really think that inside Zuma's head he believes that he is innocent?
If he does, he's delusional, because you cannot behave in that way knowing what he knows, and he knows what he has done wrong. He knows that when he removed Nhlanhla Nene and then had this excuse of a BRICS bank appointment was absolute nonsense. When he removed Pravin Gordhan and SABC Jonas from office with no rationality, those are just two where those ministers had their hands on the purse strings and trying to keep the corruption out of the fingers out of the cookie jar. He removed them because they were in his way. There's no explanation for his conduct, so he cannot sit here and say, "But what have I done wrong?" The question should be, well, what have you done right that is in the best interests of this country? Because everything you've done, the placements you've made, the interference in boards, various boards, Transnet, Eskom, Denel and so forth, are clear indications that as Pravin says, join the dots. He is involved in that. He cannot say that he's done nothing wrong.
Yeah. Just finally, Wayne, as I bid you farewell, and you can go on and enjoy your evening and hopefully carry on watching the events unfold. 5 people arrested in this blitz that happened today. I don't know. They're not calling it a raid. Sometimes they're calling it a raid. Everybody's calling it something different. I mean, from your investigations, from what you believe, 5, is that just a tip of the iceberg? Can we see so many more people being arrested and falling?
Yes, and the beauty of when you start to get the ball rolling on corruption fighting and the mechanisms start getting put in place, it's one of those issues where you cannot be half pregnant. You do it properly or you don't. It looks like they're doing it properly. They've taken some time to get here, but now that wheel is turning and you cannot stop it because other people that are implicated and there's so much evidence that links other people, they've got to go down that chain of evidence. So there are a lot of very wealthy people who are not going to sleep well for a long time now.
All right, we leave it there. Wayne, thank you for talking to us here on the program. Wayne Duvenage is from OUTA, talking to us about the events that happened first thing this morning with the Hawks raiding the Saxon World home for the Guptas and, of course, other businesses related to them, which subsequently saw 5 arrests taking place today.